Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Israelites 13 channel. I'm joined tonight with my dear friend Carl. Carl, hi.
Doing great, my friend. Good to be here.
Right. Well, tonight's topic is shapeshifters in Atlantis and Hollywood, how they hide history in plain sight. Carl, do you have any insight on that you'd like to give to the people, or maybe tell them what we're doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm thinking if you'll notice throughout the Bible, God has always revealed what he was going to do through his prophets. And if we look at what God has his prophets, that just stands to reason the other side has their prophets as well. And who are those prophets? Hollywood. So when you think you're being entertained, you're watching a really cool show, a lot of times you're being fed prophecy, or they're telling you what they're doing to you or going to do in the future. So you think you're being entertained, but actually it is a prophecy from the dark side. And you can double check that by just looking at all the things that you've seen in the past, Star Trek, Star Wars, and stuff that has actually came to pass that they predicted would happen. And even some of these cartoons that they have on, I can't think of it right now. Family Guy, I think, is one of them where they'll flat tell you what's going to happen in the future, and it happens like they said it was going to happen. Now, is that entertainment or is that prophecy? So I think that's what our mission here tonight is to find out, to answer that question for ourselves, and go from there.
Exactly. And like we had spoke earlier in our conversation yesterday, where do they actually get their inspiration when they do these shows? Is it that Hollywood they're creative geniuses, or is there something else that they're using to bring a certain message? Like you said, it's universal law to tell your enemy or adversary what you're doing to them. And the way they do it is they hide it in plain sight in the movie. So we're going to get into a couple of movie shots here, or movie clips, pardon me, and we'll go from there. All right, Carl, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy, let's go.
Oh, look, you have heterochromia too.
Sorry, what?
Look at her eye.
How's that for a magic trick?
So.
I repeat, we are under attack!
Only human.
Dodge this.
I'm going to go to X-Files here and then Star Trek, and then we're going to discuss this.
Tell me where he is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Killing the captain! Shoot it, Doctor, quickly! No! No! It's killing the captain! Shoot, quick! I won't shoot Nancy. This is was not Nancy. If she were Nancy, could she take this? Stop it! Stop it, Spock! Stop it! Is that Nancy, Doctor? No.
Leonard, no. Leonard, please.
Lord, forgive me.
So, Carl, what do you think of that?
Well, think about it. These we've got these mixed. What would you even call them? Mixed. You can't call them mixed breed. These half angelic, half humanoid beings with superpowers and weird capabilities walking among us. They're walking among us. They're leading our countries. They're ruling the world, and we've got a blind eye to this because, like I said, we watch this stuff as entertainment, and we're not learning anything in our Judeo-Christian churches that would prepare us to deal with this. And this is very real. I mean, like I said, this is TV shows and movies and stuff, but this is real stuff that's going on around us, and they're walking among us, and we turn a blind eye to it. And when we turn a blind eye to it, what happens? We're not fit for the fight at that point because we don't even know we're in a fight.
Well, like we said earlier, if you really look at all these movies, one would ask, like, where do they come up with this stuff? Like, are these guys on psychedelics or something, Hiawatha, or where do they actually get the inspiration for this? And I think a lot of the ancient text is going to answer that. And as strange as this sounds, I mean, we're just going to put it out there. Like we said, it's time to put the milk away and get into the meat of things. So if you want to take this one, Carl, or do you want me to read this? It's up to you, bro.
Oh, I can read it. And again, if this scares people, and I'll be honest with you, it scared me when I first started digging into it. It takes you out of your comfort zone, but we have to come out of our comfort zone because we're not living in a comfortable world. We're in the middle of a war. Most of us, as we call ourselves Christians, as spectators, we're not. And we go to church and we sing "Onward, Christian Soldiers, Marching as the War," and we're all geared up to do what? To do nothing. This is a fight. We're supposed to be in it. So let's start reading. I'm sorry. I'll start ranting and raving. Far in the past, okay, the Emerald Tablets, Reptilian Shapeshifters in Atlantis, Part 1. Far in the past, before Atlantis existed, men there were who delved into darkness using dark magic, calling up beings from the great deep below us. Forth came they into this cycle. Formless were they of another vibration, existing unseen by the children of earth men. Only through blood could they have formed being. Only through men could they live in the world. In ages past were they conquered by masters, driven below to the place whence they came. But some they were who remained, hidden in spaces and plains unknown to men. Lived they in Atlantis, or Adam's land, as shadows, but at times they appear among men, i.e., when the blood was offered, forth they came to dwell among men.
I'll take this one, bro, if you want.
Okay.
In the form of man moved they amongst us, but only to sight were they as are men, serpent-headed, when the glamour was lifted, but appearing to man as men among men, crept they into the councils, taking forms that were like unto men, slaying or killing by their arts the chiefs or rulers of the kingdoms, taking their forms and ruling over men. Only by magic or technology could they be discovered. Only by sound could their faces be seen. Sought they from the kingdom of shadows to destroy men and rule in his place. But know ye, the masters were mighty in magic, able to lift the veil from the face of the serpent, able to send him back to his place. Came they to men and taught him the secret, the word that only man can pronounce. Swift they lifted the veil from the serpent and cast him forth from the places among men. So this book was written, they say, 36,000 years ago, before Atlantis and during Atlantis. So to my knowledge, there was no Hollywood then. So they're literally telling you that there were these beings that kind of like on the level of an Aleister Crowley, when they would do blood sacrifice, and he called up this demon named Lamb. These and they call it the shadow realm or hell or Sheol, whatever you want to call it. And these beings literally would come forth when the blood was offered, like our Father in heaven said in the Bible. He said that all living things, the life of all living beings that he created was in the blood. So when this blood was offered, they would, whether through sacrifice or however they did it, these beings would literally take their bodies over and rule in the place of their leaders. So do you see anything like that correlates to how we're living in today, Carl?
Do your research. You can do a online search for what's called the Black Eye Club, and you will notice politicians, kings, queens, important people around the world all film. Now nobody's running up and punching these people in their eye, but they've got a black eye. And I can remember a couple of them. Matter of fact, Bush Jr., black eye. What is that called from? We'll talk about that in a minute. You're watching these people on television, and you see a glitch where their eye turns into like a cat's eye, or their face melts, and they say, "Oh, it's just something to do with the program." You're watching this stuff go on in front of you. These things are being revealed and covered up almost as fast as they're being revealed. But yeah, this is among us. This is the real deal. And this black eye thing, my understanding, I've studied that, it's called the vril. And it's called being vriled, VRILLED. When this creature will stick a
tentacle or some kind of needle or something
right into your eyeball and deposit I guess you would call it
like a weird sentient being or something, and literally takes you. Well, that's. I don't mean to interrupt you, my brother, but that's exactly what they're saying in the Emerald Tablets here. That they,
yes, sir,
through their
parasite, if you will.
Yeah, by their arts, the chiefs of the kingdoms would take their forms and kill them, and then rule over men. So continue, bro. I apologize.
Oh, no. You jump right in. That's what I like, conversation, bro. We'll just let it roll. And you talk to you again. I hate to keep attacking church people, but they're so steeped in the doctrines of men, and they'll tell you, well, that can't be true because it's not in the Bible. I said, no, it's not. It's not in the Bible that you're allowed to have, but it is in books of the Bible that were taken out, so you couldn't have access to it by the drunken papists at the Council of Nicaea, Laodicea, or the Council of Trent. These papists, which were Illuminatists, Catholics at the time, which that's who's running the Vatican now, by the way, they got together and decided what to take out of your Bible. Well, we know who the Illuminatists are. They are the Edomites, the Asmodeans that we're really not allowed to say a whole lot about anymore. But they've woven their way into your church. They've taken the books out of your Bible that would help you understand and fill in the blanks. And my friend Joy here has dug in and got a lot of these apocryphal texts out, or these hidden texts, and it's dug into them with a fervor. I mean, it just amazes me what he comes up with. But it answers these questions that you go to church supposedly to get the answer to. And you're facing down this guy who claims to represent God in the pulpit, who's basically cutting you off from this information. Now, you got this knowledge, you have the Holy Spirit discernment and to teach you. You don't need that dude in the pulpit. And the Bible tells you, I'll find the verse that actually says that, but you don't need him. You've got the ability to read God's word and have it translated directly for you from God himself.
Absolutely. And well said, my brother. You know, one of the things that sticks out to me, and as we spoke in our conversation, is this part right here where it says only by magic could they be discovered. And notice it's calling them the serpent headed. So these are, it's obviously Satan and his little demon creatures, the 200 that landed on Mount Hermon. But I found one thing very interesting. It says only by sound could their faces be seen. So let's see what Hollywood has to say about this. Have they ever put anything out there? And I think they have. And I'm going to go ahead and run this, Carl, and you give me your input after we watch this.
Yes, sir.
It is peaceful up here. I'm not very good with heights. Your world is not so ugly after all. I'm almost sorry to see it end. What does that mean?
Dan just needs to do another MRI.
No MRI. No MRI.
Why?
Sound at 4,000 to 6,000 hertz is lethal.
Sorry, the sound frequency in the MRI is really harmful for him.
What, so sound is like his kryptonite?
No, don't do that.
Told you I could fight ugly.
So here's another example of Hollywood putting in your face in plain sight through the guise of I would say entertainment, or like we said before, like science fiction or a veneer, like a science fiction overlay, and they're literally telling you what was written 36,000 years ago, that there are these shadow realm demons that can take the form of human beings, or like you just said, vril them. And it says only by sound could their faces be seen. Carl, what say you?
Well, we look at these TV, these newscasters and these celebrities, when they start the faces melting down or the eyes shifting or anything. My thoughts are that there's a frequency coming out of some of that equipment that they haven't been able to clean up that actually causes that. I think, frequencies will cause them to be unable to cloak themselves properly, and that's what we're seeing a lot of times when they're having a meltdown.
Well, I find it interesting that, like we just said, this is written in text 36,000 years ago, and you go to the movies and you're literally watching exactly what was written in the text. So let's move on to our next slide here. Carl, it's a little blurry, and I apologize to the viewers for this, but you want to take this one, Carl?
Yes, sir.
Right,
Yet beware, the serpent still liveth in a place that is open at times to the world. Unseen they walk among thee in places where the rights have been said. He just disappeared.
A little glitch there. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Again, as time passes onward, shall they take the semblance of men. Called may they be by the master who knows the white or the black, but only the white master may control and bind them while in the flesh. Seek not the kingdom of shadows, for evil will surely appear. For only the master of brightness shall conquer the shadow of fear. Know ye, O my brother, that fear is an obstacle great, Be master of all in the brightness. The shadow will soon disappear. Hear ye and heed my wisdom. The voice of light is clear. Seek not the valley of shadow, and light will only appear.
Well, I think this is an incredible passage here because from the Emerald Tablets, and I'd like to touch on this one little sentence right here. It says, again, as time passes onward or forward in the future, shall they take the semblance of men once again. And I believe, I cannot prove this, just my opinion from comparing the text to what Hollywood tells you and all the research that you and I have done. I believe we're living in that right now, because if you look at the world leaders, these puppets, these figureheads that are controlled outside, like the Bible tells you, says we wrestle not against flesh, but I'm going to butcher this one, but principalities and darkness or devils or whatever. But this is literally telling you here that in the future that these demons will be unleashed again and take the form of man and rule over us. And you look at some of the things that these people engage in, like sniffing children and some of the, I'm not going to get into in depth in what they do, but you and I know, you know, adrenochrome junkies. Yes. They literally, this is not something a normal human being would engage in. So one would have to ask, like, what are we living in? Are these texts literally telling us the future that we're living in right now? What's your opinion on that, Carl?
Okay. I'm going to go back to a Bible verse that I'm going to probably butcher as well, but these signs shall follow them that believe. They shall take up serpents. And that's up, these snake handling churches use that verse as justification for them handling serpents and grabbing snakes, poisonous snakes and everything. But that verse is talking about us being able to deal with these son of a guns right here. We believe these signs shall follow them that believe, that we'll be able to lay hands on the sick and they'll recover and be able to take up serpents and no deadly thing will harm us. That's what that verse is referring to, is us dealing with these very snake people that you just mentioned here. And I'm also going to throw something out. We've talked about this. My daughter does a lot of studying. When St. Patrick went to Ireland to cast out the snakes, it wasn't rattlesnakes, it wasn't water moccasins. It was a group of snake-headed people that were banished from the Iberian Peninsula in Spain, cast out into Ireland. They were taken over there and dropped off. And because the Spaniards, the original Spaniards, the Iberians, which were our people, the tribe of Simeon, pushed them into Ireland to get rid of them. And then St. Patrick is the one that went and actually cast those snakes. Those are the snakes they're talking about, not the ones that slither along the ground.
Serpent head. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Patrick wasn't he a Dago Red as well?
I
think he was. Just a little side note there.
Yes, sir. I'll have to look that up. I think Brother Pat was, he liked cannolis and red wine.
And a little humor there. So let's go on to the next slide and let's see what Hollywood has to say about this. I'm gonna minimize this here. Pardon me for my lack of technical skill here. Hold on a second.
With the Allspark gone, we cannot return life to our planet. And fate has yielded its reward. A new world to call home. We live among its people now, hiding in plain sight, but watching over them in secret, waiting, protecting. I have witnessed their capacity for courage, and though we are worlds apart, like us, there's more to them than meets the eye. I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars. We are here. We are waiting.
What do you think of that little clip there, Carl? Living amongst us in disguise, in secret, watching us. And then he sends a message out to any other supposed Autobots, or notice he's a shapeshifter, but with a sci-fi overlay. He turns it, hiding in plain sight. He's a car, but he can turn into a robot, blah, blah, blah. And this is just, I would say, like a science fiction metaphor, in other words, for these fallen angels that can change form. And he sends out this message to the universe, or taking refuge after the great war in heaven, and come to the earth. We're on this new planet here, and we're hiding amongst them. What are your thoughts on that, Carl?
I'm going to tell you this. I have actually witnessed 3 different shape-shifting accounts or incidents in my life.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, bro.
No, that's okay. Yeah, and yeah, they're here. They're here living among us. There's no doubt about it. And expand that out to fallen angels, watchers, these hybrid creatures that walk among us that nobody wants to talk about. The Bigfoot, Sasquatch thing, the dog men, the chupacabra, all of that stuff is here. And as a product of these things coming into our dimension and screwing around with DNA and just God's divine law, and now we're having to deal with this kind of stuff. But yeah, I have actually witnessed shapeshifting. I've actually witnessed cryptids. I've seen them. I've had encounters with these cryptids, what we call Bigfoot and that kind of thing. So for me, it's easier to grasp. But the average Judeo-Christian is not going to believe this because, again, it's not right there in his King James Bible being taught in Sunday school. They don't have what it takes to get off the bench and study to show themselves approved.
Well, I find it also interesting, like we said, these movies that they put in these subtle messages in there for people with eyes to see and ears to hear, that understand what they're saying. Now, some people will laugh at what we're saying, or ridicule it. I mean, that's you. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you really think about it, like we said earlier, where in the world do these people come up with the inspiration for these movies? And I find it ironic that if you go into these ancient texts, the ones that they tell you don't read, and you only need the 66 books and that's it, and you got the whole picture, and negative, no, you don't. And like we said in our previous show, when Jesus told you they have taken the keys of wisdom and knowledge from you and they've hidden it from you. And we went over that countless different examples of where Jesus and the disciples will say they've been hidden from you. And here you go into what's supposedly fantasy sci-fi, and they're literally telling you, they're quoting the ancient text through movies, and they're putting it right in your face and laughing at you because most people don't have the eyes to see and ears to hear what they're saying. What's your opinion on that, Carl?
What they've done, they've actually checked the box according to the rules of engagement. They've checked the box. They've notified you. They've prophesied what's coming. And it's your fault if you took this as pure entertainment. So they've filled the square. So now they're cleared to proceed to the next level. And we're not doing anything to resist. Our job is to resist this kind of crap from coming on us. We're not supposed to sit around and just, sit on the bench and sit in Sunday school and go out the rest of the week and live our lives. We are supposed to be in direct conflict with what's going on in this world right now. We're not.
And our Father told us directly. He said, my people, those are his children. We know who they are. They're our people. He told us, my people will be destroyed from lack of knowledge. And I'm not saying that this is the holy grail and believe this and take it to the bank, cash it. I mean, it's, I say to the viewer, you dig in yourself. Don't believe what Carl and I are saying. Dig into it yourself. And I believe that they're literally, like you said, it's universal law, God's law for the enemy to tell you what's going on and what's happening to you before they do something to you. In other words, so let's go to the next slide here. And we're gonna jump into some of these ancient texts and to the book of Adam and Eve here. And I love going to this book, and this is a nail that I'm going to beat until it goes in. I'm going to hammer this thing. But I guess the reason I'm bringing this forth is because it's in these texts, it's going to show you all the different shapes and forms that the enemy and his angels take when they were trying to deceive and destroy Adam. So, Carl, if you do me the pleasure, would you like to read this one?
Let's do it, buddy. We're going to read from Adam's Transgression, the Forbidden Fruit, Part 1. For the Forgotten Books of Eden by Rutherford H. Platt Jr. So we're going to go, then came the word of God to Adam and said unto him, O Adam, look at the garden of joy and at this earth of toil, and behold the angels who are in the garden that is full of them, and see thyself alone on this earth, with Satan whom thou didst obey. Yet, if thou hast submitted and been obedient to me, and hast kept my word, thou wouldst be with my angels in my garden. But when thou didst transgress and hearken to Satan, thou didst become his guest among his angels that are full of wickedness, and thou camest to this earth that brings forth to thee thorns and thistles. O Adam, ask him who deceived thee to give thee the divine nature he promised thee, or to make thee a garden as I had made for thee, or to fill thee with the same bright nature which I had filled thee. All right, you may continue reading.
Sure. Go ahead, if you would.
Ask him to make thee a body like the one I made thee, or to give thee a day of rest as I gave thee, or to create within thee a reasonable soul as I did create for thee, or to remove thee hence to some other earth than this one which I gave thee. But, O Adam, he will not fulfill even one of the things he told thee. Buddy, I'm soaking that. That's some heavy stuff right there.
Well, we can pause. I mean, let's go back. Let's go back and compare this to the Bible right here. Well, what stands out to me is if he's telling you right here, if you would have submitted and been obedient to me and had kept my word, thou would be with my angels in my garden. But when thou did transgress and hearken to Satan, the Bible tells you that it was only Eve that he came up to, and she ate of the fruit, and then she gave the fruit to Adam. But this is telling you, no, that Adam hearkened to the devil also. So he was promised the godhood, and in his ignorance, I would say, he didn't realize that he was already a god. So I mean, what stands out to you in this text, Carl?
Well, just to me, it's quite evident now that this wasn't a simple story of taking a piece of fruit off of a tree and biting into it. I mean, they've oversimplified it. Matter of fact, they've watered it down to where it has none effect at all in church. This sin was, oh my goodness, dude. It tells me Satan's actually submitted and probably might have even worshiped Satan from what I'm gathering here.
Well, it sounds to me he definitely, whatever, I don't know if it was like a murder plot together. That's a stretch, obviously. I mean, I don't have anything that proves that, but this is clearly telling you that Eve was not the only one that fell or that transgressed against God. God is telling him that Adam is the one that did it as well. And if you go into the part two, would you let me see? And said, this goes back to our previous shows where we were reading that in Adam's true divine nature, that God tells him, ask Satan or ask him to make thee a body like the one I made thee, or to give thee a day of rest as I gave thee, or to create within thee a reasonable soul as I did create for thee, or to remove thee hence to some other earth than this one which I gave thee. So the earth was Adam's. See, in the CI community, and I'm not saying we are not a part of it, but I mean, I obviously, as well as you, I would say we believe a lot of their theology. But I would say one of the flaws that they make, in my humble opinion, it's just my opinion, I'm not trying to attack anyone, but I think they place way too much emphasis on Jacob. Oh, we're Israel. No, they're Israel. Well, of course we're Israel. But I think the main character of the Bible is explained to you by the Bible itself in Genesis 5:1. God tells you that this is the book of the generations of Adam. So, in other words, Jacob is just another extension. When God changed his name to Israel, a son of light, he was given that surname because he kept the seed line, the holy seed line, the divine seed line, the reflection of our Father from the heavens to the earth, from his reflection to his son's reflection, as the Zohar says, that he kept that seed line pure, and it was not mixed with these fallen angel Gregory creatures and Satan and his ilk. Would you agree, Carl?
Agreed. And this flies right back to the whole thing about it, this it's not in the Bible, we don't believe it, but how can you have a book about the entire generations of Adam, and they mention him a couple of times, he screws up and he's dead and gone? We've discussed that.
Exactly.
So,
it makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all. So you've got this actual that tells you what happened, but we're not allowed to touch it in Judeo-Christianity because, oh, that's not been canonized, that's not approved, and all that happy horse stuff,
Well, this book totally torpedoes the very foundation of the Bible, which I would say has been morphed into universalism, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but Jesus came to save the world and this and that, and I mean, there may be some truth to that, but I think it's a lot deeper, and I think that these ancient texts explain it, in my opinion. Like you just brought up a great point, bro. How can this be the book? Everyone thinks they look at like I've asked people, what is the Bible? And they tell me, with that weird monotone voice, it's a book of love and it's God's word and all this weird mumbo jumbo, but it tells you itself. The Bible is written, this is the book of Adam and his generations or genetics. So how can the Bible be the book of Adam? And the one simple verse in there says he was put on the earth to till the ground. And that's what you get from the church, and that's it. I mean, would you concur, bro? Or do you think that's a little out there?
No, that's think about it. I mean, why would you have a book that's dedicated to the genealogy of Adam and then not mention him after he's to till the earth, he comes there, he names the animals, a few things happen, and he's dead and gone, and we're on to the next story.
Well, and like I said earlier, like in CI, I think a lot of people in CI, they miss the boat too, because so much emphasis is put on Jacob, and well deserved it should be. But I think in my humble opinion, I think the central character outside of our Father Jesus Christ himself is his son Adam. And I think, like you said, the Bible literally tells you it's his book, but you've got one or two verses, and people in church never question that. I find that kind of intriguing. Like, it's just or confusing in my mind. I don't understand how people don't look into that deeper, but whatever. I'm going down a rabbit trail. So if you'd like to continue here at number 7, bro, or do you want me to take it?
I'll take it to the end there, brother. I acknowledge then my favor towards thee and my mercy on thee, my creature.
Let me pause you 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Here we have another deception when God is talking to Adam. So like Carl and I have said in the past, the translators have put their hands on everything. And I don't believe that these books have been touched as much as a lot of the Bibles themselves. But if you look at this one verse, it says, and my mercy on thee, my creature. Like he's some kind of, my son.
Amen.
Luke 3:38, and Adam was the son of God. Go ahead, brother. Sorry about that. Continue.
No, that was good, because I was going to stop there if you didn't.
Okay, brother.
Okay. That I have not requited thee for thy transgression against me, but in my pity for thee, I have promised thee that at the end of the great 5 days and a half, I will come and save thee. Then God said again to Adam and Eve, arise, go down hence, lest the cherub with a sword of fire in his hand destroy you. But Adam's heart was comforted by God's words to him, and he worshiped before him. Very good. And God commanded his angels to escort Adam and Eve to the cave with joy instead of the fear that had come upon them. And the angels took up Adam and Eve and brought them down from the mountain by the garden with songs and psalms until they brought them to the cave. There the angels began to comfort and to strengthen them, and then departed from them towards heaven to their Creator who had sent them. Now look at the contrast there. The angels went back to their Creator.
towards the heaven.
The heaven. Created beings versus begotten, which Adam was obviously begotten, son of God, not a creature himself.
And if you notice, this kind of stuck out at me, connecting this to Hollywood. But it tells you, it says on number 8, it says, God said to Adam and Eve, arise, go down hence, lest the cherub with a sword of fire in his hand destroy you. Now, what was one of the most famous sci-fi space movies ever where these jokers are running around with swords of light, bro? Do you remember
the
that
lightsaber? Is that what was that?
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
And so like I said before, where do the writers in Hollywood get their inspiration? Well, it's these books. And I submit that they have even more of these books that we're not allowed to see, like in the Vatican Library. I kind of digress, but that in my humble opinion, there's a lot more of these books.
The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Beast meaning what? We're not talking about cattle and none of that stuff. This is something that's upright and able to walk. This is not a snake crawling across the limb talking to her. This is a misinterpretation of the enchanter or Satanel, whatever you want to call it. This was not a snake crawling on its belly that crawled up to this lady and talked to her.
Exactly.
So just I had to get that out. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So if that verse seemed a little off to you, it's because it's from the Wycliffe. So that's not out of the King James version, but it's you can tell there's subtle differences in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we brought this out just to show the viewer that it wasn't only Eve. And the Bible tells you, it was Eve that the devil came to her, and this is what you get in the Judeo-Christian church. And nothing about Adam. All she did was give him an apple or a fig or whatever it was. He ate of it, boom, and then they were, like you said, they were in skins. So, so let's go here. Now the reason we're bringing these old texts up, like I said, we're literally showing you that these beings, just like the Gospel of Nicodemus said, the Gospel of Nicodemus tells you that Satan gained an advantage when he ate into the forbidden tree, which was mixing in with Adam's line. So Adam in his God form, I would assume, also had the ability to change his shape. So Satan also, when he upgraded his DNA according to the Nag Hammadi text, he wanted to upgrade his DNA to this 12-strand DNA being, which he was not. He was a 9-strand or even lower. So the reason we're bringing this out to show you the different forms that he takes. Carl, would you like to take this one, or you want a break? You want me to get it?
Oh, I can run it, buddy. Let's do it. Satan falsely promises the bright light, but Satan, the hater of all good, sought them in the cave, but found them not, although he searched diligently for them. But he found them standing in the water, praying, and thought within himself, Adam and Eve are thus standing in the water, beseeching God to forgive them their transgression, and to restore them to their former estate, and to take them from under my hand. But I will deceive them, so they shall come out of the water and not fulfill their vow. And the hater of all good went not to Adam, but he went to Eve, and took the form of an angel of God, praising and rejoicing, and said to her, Peace be unto thee. Be glad and rejoice. God is favorable unto you, and he sent me to Adam. I have brought him the glad tidings of salvation, and of his being filled with bright light as he was at first. And Adam, in his joy for his restoration, has sent me to thee, but thou come to me in order that I crown thee with the light like him. And he said to me, Speak unto Eve, if she does not come with thee, tell her of the sign when we were at the top of the mountain, how God sent his angels who took us and brought us to the cave of treasures and laid the gold on the southern side, incense on the eastern side, and myrrh on the western side. Now come to him. And when Eve heard these words from him, she rejoiced greatly, and thinking that Satan's appearance was real, she came out of the sea.
So
that's some good. He does not stop lying, does he?
he's relentless. It's relentless. But remember, the Judeo-Christian church tells you that Adam was put in the garden to till the ground. And that's all you get. That's it. So for the naysayers out there, and I am not attacking you, I'm simply telling you to expand your mind, get into these books. So just a little side note there, but point being is that the church tells you a very simplified meaning or understanding of what happened in the beginning. And the central character outside of Jesus, like we said earlier, he was only put in the garden to till the ground. But these books are telling you no, when he was transformed and put into a flesh body, he was constantly under attack by this demon to destroy him. And we're proving that in these books and telling you what Adam was up against when he was in the flesh. What say you, brother?
Well, and that attack on Adam continues on Adam's offspring. If you'll notice, anytime we start getting close to the truth or start trying to serve the Father, we get attacked like this as well.
Exactly.
And it's always some lie, man. It's always packaged in a bright package with a nice big bow on it, and we tend to fall for it.
Well, let's go to this next slide here, and this is gonna alter the understanding of the Bible when it comes to the flood, and I'll get to the meaning of that towards the end. So I'll take this one, Carl, if you don't mind, brother.
Yes, sir.
It says the prophecy of the western lands. They were not very far from the cave when Satan came towards them, and he hid himself between them and the cave under the form of 2 ravenous lions, 3 days without food. So he shapeshifted again into him and his angel, obviously, into lions. They came towards Adam and Eve as if to break them into pieces and devour them. Then Adam and Eve wept and prayed God to deliver them from their paws. Then the word of God, Jesus Christ, came to them and drove away the lions from them. And God said unto Adam, O Adam, what seekest thou on the western border? And why hast thou left of thine own accord the eastern border, in which was thy dwelling place? Now then, turn back to thy cave and remain in it, that Satan do not deceive thee, nor work his purpose upon thee. For in this western border, now pay attention very close, this is key. For in this western border, O Adam, there will go from thee a seed. Seed in the Greek is sperma, his children. There will go from thee a seed that will replenish it, the western border, and that they will defile themselves with their sins and with their yielding to the behest of Satan and by following his works. Therefore, I will bring upon them the waters of a flood and overwhelm them all, but I will deliver what is left out of the righteous among them, and I will bring them to a distant land, and the land in which thou dwellest now shall remain desolate and without one inhabitant in it. So in other words, the Judeo-Christian church teaches that the entire world was flooded. Everyone went down. And the book of Adam and Eve is telling you, no, that they left the eastern border, and he told them, go back. And he said that you're going to have a seed that's going to come of you. Remember, in Genesis, it says, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men. One mistranslation, that what it should have read, and the sons of God, or the sons of Adam, saw the daughters of Cain, the devil's children, that they were beautiful. And when you get deeper into these books, if I'm not mistaken, the second book, it tells you that 100 of the sons of Adam went down and they defiled themselves, just like number 6 says. It says, and that they will defile themselves with their sins. What was the sin? The sin is that they mixed their holy seed their God DNA with Satan, the two forbidden trees mixing again and creating an unassimilatable group of half demon, half gods. And God, and our Father literally said, I'm going to send a flood to that western border. He didn't say the whole world. He defines these two different areas, the east and the west, and he said that you're going to have a seed. Some of your children, they're going to go there. And this falls in line with the Emerald Tablets, Tablet 5. Anyone can read this, so you can go on YouTube and watch it. And it tells you that they were in this cave, and that they were on the holy mountain, and that these and in the second book of Adam and Eve, it tells you that they come down and that they mix with these demons. And it says that there's one of them named Jubal, or if I'm not mistaken, and it says that he was the player of instruments, and that and he was one of Cain's sons, his grandson, if I'm not mistaken, and that the devil came into him and he would play this music, and they drew 100 of these children down, and they said when they saw each other that lust took them over. And that's when God said, actually Enoch told them this, if you leave this holy mountain and you go down and mix with them, you'll no longer be the sons of God, but the sons of the devil. So this is what the book is telling you. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
Yeah, because that goes against the whole angelic. That's what I've always believed the sons of God were. Well, and that's just the conclusion I came to in Judeo-Christianity. They never really talked about it much. But this makes sense right here, because the sons of God, who are the sons of Adam, and their godlike qualities bred with these Canaanites, and you have these, like you said, unassimilatable group of people, and some were giants, just horrible, almost like these Hollywood superheroes. They had abilities to do stuff, shapeshift, probably work magic, use technology, all kinds of stuff.
That's right. Well, I believe in my study, and I would hope that you would concur, and if not, no, that's on you. But I think that there were two different incursions. Now I don't know which one came first, but it talks about Mount Hermon in the books of Enoch. So you and I have spoke about this before. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was actually watchers. Those were actually created beings that came down. I would say angelic beings, watchers that also defiled themselves with, I don't know if it would be the sixth day of creation, or with Canaanites, or with who, but they came down, and I'm pretty sure they got to dabbling around in the DNA, the gene pool of humanity as well.
Exactly. So that's just a little side note there. We're gonna move along to the next slide. So, Carl, if you want to take this is a little long-winded here. I mean, if you don't want to read the whole thing, you pass it off.
Satan appears as a beautiful woman tempting Adam. Again, we got the shape-shifting aspect, telling him he is still a youth. Spend thy youth in mirth and pleasure. The different forms Satan takes. As for our father Adam, at the end of 7 years from the day he had been severed from his wife Eve, Satan envied him when he saw that him thus separated from her, and strove to make him live with her again. This dude is all about manipulating, isn't he? Then
Yes,
Adam
he is.
arose and went up above the cave of treasures, and continued to sleep there night by night. But as soon as it was light every day, he came down to the cave to pray there and to receive a blessing from it. But when it was evening, he went up on the roof of the cave, where he slept by himself, fearing lest Satan should overcome him. And he continued thus apart 39 days. Then Satan, the hater of all good, when he saw Adam thus alone, fasting and praying, appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful woman, who came and stood before him in the night of the 40th day, and said unto him, O Adam, from the time ye have dwelt in this cave, ye have experienced great peace. We have experienced great peace from you, and your prayers have reached us, and we have been comforted about you. But now, O Adam, that thou hast gone up over the roof of the cave to sleep, we have had doubts about thee, and a great sorrow has come upon us because of thy separation from Eve. Then again, when thou art on the roof of this cave, and thy prayer is poured out, and thy heart wanders from side to side. But when thou wast in the cave, thy prayer was like fire gathered together. It came down to us, and thou didst find rest. Then I also grieved over the children who are severed from thee, and my sorrow is great about the murder of thy son Abel, for he was righteous, and over a righteous man everyone will grieve.
Continuing to part 2.
Say what, buddy?
You want me to take this?
Oh yeah. Let me. I'll take it.
Go ahead, brother.
It switched so fast I didn't even catch the transition. But I rejoiced over the birth of thy son Seth. Yet after a little while, I sorrowed greatly over Eve, because she is my sister. For when God sent a deep sleep over thee and drew her out of thy side, he brought me out also with her. But he raised her by placing her with thee, while he lowered me. This son of a gun is lying his butt off, isn't he?
The father of all lies, right there.
I rejoiced over my sister for being with thee, but God had made me a promise before and said, grieve not. When Adam has gone up on the roof of the cave of treasures and is separated from Eve his wife, I will send thee to him. Thou shalt join thyself to him in marriage, and bear him 5 children, as Eve did bear him 5. And now, lo, God's promise to me is fulfilled, for it is he who has sent me to thee for the wedding, because if thou wed me, I shall bear thee finer and better children than those of Eve. Then again, thou art yet but a youth, and end not thy youth in this world in sorrow, but spend the days of thy youth in mirth and pleasure. For thy days are few, and trial is great. Be strong in thy days in this world rejoicing. Another, eat, drink, and be merry, right? I shall take pleasure in thee, and thou shalt rejoice with me in this wise without fear. Up then, and fulfill the command of God. She then drew near to Adam and embraced him. But when Adam saw that he should be overcome by her, he prayed to God with a fervent heart to deliver him from her. Then God sent his word unto Adam, saying, O Adam, that figure is the one that promised thee the Godhead. Ooh.
Pause right there.
Yes,
please.
Sir.
Bro, that's exactly what we just said earlier.
That's the key piece.
Okay. Only Eve ate of the fruit, of the forbidden fruit. And no. Adam somehow conspired with this demon, or was fooled by him. And he was told, you can be God. You're his son. I like I said, it's only my opinion, but here we have in the text, you literally just read it, that Adam was the one also. It was not just Eve. So I apologize for that interruption. Go ahead and continue, please.
Oh, no, brother. That, again, I was going to stop right there myself, because that very thing, the promise of the Godhead. And like you say, it could have been that them conspiring to actually try to kill God, and he wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have placed Adam as God. He would have took that himself.
Well, you'll find out what his plan was earlier. So this is going to be great. But,
okay. O Adam, that figures one that promised thee the Godhead and majesty. He is not favorably disposed towards thee, but shows himself to thee at one time in the form of a woman, another moment in the likeness of an angel, on other occasions the similitude of a serpent, and at another time in the semblance of a god. But he does all that only to destroy thy soul. Now therefore, O Adam, understand thy heart. I have delivered thee many a time from his hands, in order to show ye that I am a merciful God, and that I wish thy good, and that I do not wish thy ruin. Okay.
I'm sorry, brother. I know the words are kind of small, they're hard to see.
That's all right. And I kind of got banged up when I wish thee. I kept looking for wish thee good, but I wish thy good. Another word, yeah. So more than old English there.
Well, Carl, let me ask you, with your church background and your experience, your knowledge of the Bible, does this sound anything to you like the story we're told in Genesis?
No, sir.
What's your opinion on this verse here? How this creature keeps shape-shifting and comes to now the Bible tells you that Eve only had 2 kids. And this clear, no, he had 5. We had done a previous show where we talk about these 5 children. Cain, Lalua, and I'm not going to go through the whole list again, but it's obviously a more in-depth story than what the 66 books say. Would you agree?
Oh, way more. And then
What-
when you get into this, now think about this. You're going to eat of this fruit. You're not supposed to eat of this fruit, but what are the consequences? No, it tells you here that he promised Adam the Godhead and majesty. In other words, he was going to be a ruler. He promised him the Godhead. He's going to be in charge of everything. That's a pretty big lie. No wonder Adam fell for that crap.
Well, and another thing that stands out to me, and I think you would agree, is number 11, where he says, he who has sent me to thee for the wedding, because if you wed me, I will bear thee finer and better children than those of Eve. So right there, through the act of race mixing again, a lower rank angel with God's literal son, he's literally, in my opinion, he's thinking, to me, future destruction of Adam's seed. In other words, he wants to be the progenitor of another hybrid Nephilim race, to be a thorn in the side of Adam and his children. Would you agree with that?
Certainly.
So
he wasn't trying to bring forth another race to bring good into the world. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, and I'm not going to get into the modern day stuff we're going, LGB and all this other garbage. But if you really look into it, and you basically, what that is it's a new religion being birthed, which is basically an old religion, which is the belief of, or the worship of Baphomet, the androgynous goat god. And that's literally what this is. You're seeing this androgynous goat god have that ability when he mingled with Adam and Eve, or like the Nagamani text say, the Sophia, or the divine spark, was in Eve through Adam. So he raped her, upgrading his DNA and being able to absorb certain aspects of his God DNA, which part of that was the ability to shapeshift. Not only can he shapeshift and manipulate his DNA in this third dimension that we're in, he can also bring forth children. So that's what the god Pan, or the god of the forest, or Baphomet, or the goat of Mendes, it's an androgynous creature. That's what it is. And that's what the religion being pushed today is. And I don't mean to get into that, but any thoughts on that?
No, and think about it. You got someone who can father children or bear children. Either way, switch it up, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, some good points there. Let's go to the next slide, my brother. All right, now we spoke about Satan's plan. I'm going to minimize this here. And if you would do me the honor, my brother, go ahead and take this one.
Okay, the devil's own scheming. Then Adam and Eve came into the cave, yet trembling at the fire that had scorched their bodies.
Let me pause you. I apologize, brother. The fire that they're speaking of when you read into the book, Satan literally tries to kill them. He tries to burn them alive. Him and his angels, they gather up all type of wood and dry grass and hay, and they literally start a fire, and they try to kill Adam and Eve when they're in the cave. So apologize for that, bro. Continue if you would.
No, and that may be where we get those giant trees that we know have been cut down all over the planet as well. I don't know if you've ever studied that or not, but
no,
yeah.
Sir.
So, lo, the fire has burnt our flesh in this world, but how will it be when we are dead? And Satan shall punish our souls. So now think about that. They're already contemplating how much more serious it's going to be for their eternal soul once they leave this body.
Well, because God made a covenant with him. The very first covenant, like we said in our past shows, the very first covenant ever made was with God's son, Adam. And he told him that, you just read it, the great 5 days and a half, 5,500 years. I'm going to come to the earth, and a certain group that pretend to be the tribe of Judah are going to kill me and crucify me. And they kill an innocent man, like we said in our previous show, and God releases him. So I apologize, bro. Go ahead and continue.
No. This is good discussion. Is not our deliverance long and far off, unless God come and in mercy to us fulfill his promise? Then Adam and Eve passed into the cave, blessing themselves for coming into it once more. For it was in their thoughts that they never should enter it, but when they saw the fire around it, for it was in their thoughts that they never should enter it when they saw the fire around it. In other words, I guess they thought they were blocked off from getting back to the cave. But as the sun was setting, the fire was still burning and nearing Adam and Eve in the cave, so they could not sleep in it. After the sun had set, they went out of it. This was the 47th day after they came out of the garden. Adam and Eve then came under the top of the hill by the garden to sleep, as they were wont. And they stood and prayed God to forgive them of their sins, and then fell asleep under the summit of the mountain. But Satan, the hater of all good, thought within himself, whereas God has promised salvation to Adam by covenant, there's your covenant, and that he would deliver him out of all the hardships that have befallen him, but has not promised me by covenant, and will not deliver me out of my hardships. Nay, since he has promised him that he should make him and his seed dwell in the kingdom in which I once was, I will kill Adam. The earth shall be rid of him, and shall be left to me alone, and that so that when he is dead, I got one word blocked over there. May not have any seed left to it. Oh, he may not have any seed left to inherit the kingdom that shall remain my own realm. God will then be in want of me, and he will restore me to it with my host. Okay.
Bro, that's powerful.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So he's literally talking. See, if you read it, you think it's past tense, but to me, in my opinion, he's speaking of the future as well, because he's tried to kill him quite a few times, and God keeps delivering Adam. So it's not going to happen. He's not going to kill Adam. Upon Adam's death, Adam is telling you he knows that when they leave after their allotted time on the earth, that they're going to Sheol, and under his command or the command of Beelzebub. They know that already. What Satan is telling you when he says the earth shall be rid of him, I will kill Adam. He's talking about he's talking about the descendants of Adam that are predestined. These are the same gods that lived in Atlantis that everyone calls the Anunnaki, Anu, Anum, Atum. It's the same, the big giant gods that they show with the wings, and you know that they're white men, but they're gigantic in stature. These are Adam and his children, and they lived in Adam's land, or Atlantis, at the same exact time. Upon their fall, they were called back up and then predestined to come back to earth in certain parts of the cycle that they were in. In other words, Seth, you're going to be born here. Jacob, you're going to be born here. Carl, you're going to be born here. Joey, you're going to be. It's predestined, in other words. So let's see what the Bible has to say in our next slide about Satan's plan. Well, actually, yeah, go ahead. You want me to take this, or you got it, bro?
I'll take it, buddy. Let's see.
It's going to be a little different because it's the Wycliffe. So
right on. The song of the Psalm of Asaph. God, who shall be like thee? God, be thou not still, neither be thou peaced. God, be thou not silent. Yea, God, be thou not still, nor hold thy peace. For lo, thine enemies sounded, and they that hate thee raised the head. For lo, thy enemies have raised a ruckus, and those who hate thee have raised up their heads in revolt or in defiance. They made a wicked counsel on thy people, and they thought against thy saints. They made wicked plans against thy people. Yea, they thought together against thy saints or sons. They said, come ye and loose we them from the folk, and the name of Israel, God's sons of light, be no more had in mind. They said, come ye, let us destroy their nation, meaning their race, their genealogy, and then the name of Israel shall no more be remembered. For they thought with one accord, they thought with one accord, they proposed together a plan against thee, they conspired to work against thee. And then the tabernacle of the Idumeans, which are who? The Edomites, right?
That's right. Exactly. Right on.
And the men of Ishmael disposed a testament together against thee. Moab and Hagarenes, yea, the families of the Edomites and the Ishmaelites and the Moabites and the Hagarenes.
All connected with the Canaanites.
And these are all polluted races of upright walking hominids that are our blood enemies from the beginning.
And it literally just told you what Satan's plan was. Tells you right here, I will kill Adam and his seed. Now we find I believe this pertains to the future. And now he's riled these people up against us. And he said, let's destroy their nation. What's happening to our nations right now, Carl?
Yeah.
Borders are wide open. They're being destroyed as we speak.
And,
just like
I tell these beautiful little Judeo-Christians, I said, look, the flood of water from the mouth of the serpent, I said, you're thinking the snake's going to land on the earth? I said, it doesn't make any sense. I said, this is your flood. Waters are people, and these people groups are here to wash you away. And how are they going to wash you away? Mongrelize, amalgamate, and murder.
Exactly, bro. You're right. Spot on, 100% on. Let's move to the next slide here. This is from the Zohar, and just to give the reader or excuse me, or the viewer, like we said before, an understanding of who Adam is and what he looked like before the fall. This is from the Zohar, and I'm bringing up multiple sources here. So, Carl, do you want me to take this, or you got it?
Oh, I can keep reading, buddy. It'll keep me awake. I am whipped, brother. That sun beat me up today.
Okay, go ahead.
When the Holy One created Adam, he invested him with a form so transcendently glorious and perfect in its proportions, and with mental endowment so great that all other creatures trembled and stood in awe at his presence amongst them. For on his visage he bore the imprint or reflection of the divine, their creator. Okay, that's heavy right there. Furthermore, the Holy One placed him in the Garden of Eden, and there he might enjoy the pleasures and delights of angelic existence. In this beautiful abode, angels came round about him and made obeisance to him and revealed unto him their occult knowledge, hidden knowledge, respecting the divine being whom they regarded and worshipped as the Lord God of the universe, in order that he might unite and join them in, and that's kind of cut off that last little bit down there, buddy.
Join him in his worship and service.
Okay.
So, bro, it's like you said in the past. You said that Adam, and bro, I don't know if you really realize how spot on you were when you made that comment. And that's, like I told you in the past, before I even knew you, when I heard on one of your shows and you said that blew me away when you said that. And I just had to dig into that. And these hidden texts tell you exactly when, like when the ancient alien guys and this, well, the Anunnaki, like we just said earlier, the Anunnaki are nothing but Adam and his sons before their fall, when they were in God form. And it tells you right here in the Zohar, which is not the book of the people pretending to be the tribe of Judah. This was your book. It was written to your people, the Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, Nordic, Basque, Lombard, and Germanic peoples. I stole that from Swift. He's one of my favorite teachers.
One of mine as well.
And in this Zohar, they are telling you that when God created Adam, he invested him with a form so transcendently glorious and perfect in its proportions, with mental endowment so great that all the other creatures trembled and stood in awe at his presence among there, bro.
That is. And think about these angels. They say he bore the imprint or the reflection of the divine. In other words, he looked like his daddy.
Exactly.
Who was their creator. He wasn't their father, he was their creator. This is the absolute son, the begotten of God, being honored and reverenced by these created angels. I like that.
But in our Bible, he's marginalized to a farmer.
Yes, sir.
That makes this is the book of Adam and the generations of Adam. And God put him down on the earth with a rake. Oh, by the way, he named the animals, but yeah, that's about it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And you hear nothing else about him. It's ridiculous to think that these books have no relevance. And he's literally telling you right here, if you go to the second paragraph, it says, furthermore, the Holy One placed him in the Garden of Eden, that there he might enjoy the pleasures and delights of an angelic existence. In this beautiful abode, angels came round about him and made obeisance to him and revealed unto them the occult knowledge, blah, blah, blah. So point being is that Adam was literally, God rose him to God and ruler of the earth and the known universe, in my opinion. And I think Hollywood's going to tell us that further on in the thing. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this, Carl?
No, I think we covered that pretty good, my friend.
Okay, bro, let's go to the next slide here. All right. So we're going to touch again here on a couple of descriptive of a description of Adam's offspring. And if you'd like to go through this, Carl, go ahead, have at it.
Okay, there's fragments of Noah from the Dead Sea Scrolls. And after some days, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a son. And his body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose. Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 10, King James Version. My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000. Description of Abraham's wife, Sarah, from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Her skin was pure white. She had long, lovely hair. Her limbs were smooth and rounded. Her thighs were shapely. She had slender legs and small feet. Her hand were slim and long, and so were her fingers. The following is a description of Sarah from the Genesis Apocryphon, page 486, published by Penguin Classics. And beautiful is her face. How fine are the hairs of her head. How lovely are her eyes. How desirable her nose and all the radiance of her countenance. How fair are her breasts and how beautiful all her whiteness. This babe was hot. And we're talking about Abraham's wife, Sarah.
Well, a couple things stand out to me. If you read Songs of Solomon 5:10, you'll have certain people say, "Oh no, that means he was an albino or he was this." No, that's not what it means, because when you read Songs of Solomon 1, I think it's verse 5, the one that supposedly wrote this. Now, some people say she didn't write it. I'm not going to, go down that rabbit trail, but she tells you that, oh, daughters of Israel, don't look so harsh on me because I'm black. I'm a black woman because the sun has looked harshly on me or has discolored my skin dark. So this is a black woman describing Solomon, who was committing sin, mixing the holy seed with the seed of Cain. And they're giving you literal physical descriptions of what Solomon looked like and what his lover looked like. Any comments, Carl?
No, and get right down to it. You can't hide from the fact we've got two distinct different races of people there.
Well, let's move on to the next slide here. Now, this book to me is incredible right here. If you want me to take, I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of like micro letters again, bro. So
yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, all right, I'll go. And furthermore, the Lord said, "Let us go into the mountain. Let us pray." This is Jesus and the disciples. And going with him, we, the 12 disciples, begged that he would show us one of our brethren, the righteous who are gone forth out of the world, in order that we might see what manner of form they are, and having taken courage, might also encourage the men who hear us. And as we prayed, suddenly there appeared two men standing before the Lord towards the east, on whom we were not able to look. For there came forth from their countenance a ray as of the sun, and their raiment was shining, such as eye of man never saw. for no mouth is able to express or heart to conceive the glory with which they were endued and the beauty of their appearance. And as we looked upon them, we were astounded, for their bodies were whiter than any snow. Let me read that again. For their bodies were whiter than any snow and ruddier than any rose. Ruddy means red. And the red thereof was mingled with the white. And I am utterly unable to express their beauty. For their hair was curly and bright, and seemly both on their face and shoulders, as it were a wreath of woven of spinnaker and of diverse colors, colored flowers, or like a rainbow in the sky. Such was their seemliness. Seeing therefore their beauty, we became astounded at them, since they appeared suddenly. And I approached the Lord and said, who are these? He said to me, these are your brethren. Let me repeat that. These are your brethren, the righteous, whose forms ye desired to see. And I said to him, and where are all the righteous ones? And what is the eon in which they are and have this glory? And the Lord showed me a very great country outside of this world, exceedingly bright with light. And the air there lighted with the rays of the sun, and the earth itself blooming with unfading flowers, as full of spices and plants, fair flowering and incorruptible, and bearing blessed fruit. And so great was the perfume that was that was born thence even unto us. And the dwellers in that place were clad in the raiment of shining angels, and their raiment was like unto their country, and angels hovered about them there. And the glory of the dwellers there was equal, and with one voice they sang praise alternately to the Lord God Jesus Christ, rejoicing in that place. The Lord saith to us, this is the place of your high priest, the righteous men. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
Well, rather. Well, we know what we have to look forward to when we advance to the next level, because that's our lot. That's what we're going to be. That's what we'll be looking like when we get there. And it'd be great to see it. Like he let these guys see it. They asked. That's what I like about Jesus. They ask, and he's like, "There you go. You can see it."
They're his sons. And what blows me away, and nobody, oh, where do we be the Israelites and all this garbage? No one can deny what these hidden texts say. That's why they hide them, like we said, because they don't want you to know who the chess pieces are in the grand chessboard that you're in. It says, and we looked upon them. We were astounded, for their bodies were whiter than any snow and ruddier than any rose. And the red thereof was mingled with the white. Okay, these are white angelic beings. He's not just talking about the raiment that they're wearing that emit light. He's talking these beings are white in their appearance. They're literally, and he said, they're your brethren. The people he was talking to, the 12 disciples. If they were of a different race, he wouldn't have said they're your disciples. If they were melanated people, he wouldn't say these are your brethren, the white guys. Would you agree?
I agree.
So let's see what Hollywood has to say about this. Got two little clips here I'm going to play. And then, Carl, you give me your input on this, bro, if I can figure this thing out here. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I just jumped forward here. Hold on a second. All right, I'm going to start with this one.
Lucas? I think I know what I am now.
Let me back up. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Saw the sunrise this morning. I think I know what I am now. There's a world built on top of ours. People live there. I think they're like me.
We saw it.
They're like you? Yes, I think so.
You watch right here what appears to her, Carl. So I'm going to pause it right here. Carl, what are your immediate thoughts when you see this?
But I can't make out anything except these orbs of light that seem to become.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but what they're telling you here is that the boy is telling. If you haven't seen the movie, this boy keeps having these events happen to him where this light comes out of his eyes and out of his hands. He's a being of pure light, just like we read when Adam was created. It said that he opened his eyes. It said his eyes were like the orbs of the sun, and rays of light came out of his eyes. Just like when Noah was born. And the fragments of Noah said when he opened his eyes lit the whole room. In other words, he had his Shekinah glory, his light being from the heavens, still emanating out of his body. And that's exactly what they're showing here in the first clip. Now these orbs, just like in Skinwalker, that show Skinwalker Ranch, where you see the orbs and they pop up and nobody knows what they are, and they give them these sci-fi brainwashing names like UAPs and UFOs and all this garbage. But what the orbs themselves, I'm not talking about flying vehicles or chariots of fire. I'm talking about the orbs that look like stars to the eye. The orbs that they're telling you. And Hollywood, what's happened in this movie here, I'm going to back up a little bit. Towards the end of the movie, you have a higher dimensional realm interfacing with Earth. It comes down and they're in perfect vibrational harmony with each other. So in other words, an Atlantean scenario where the heavens and the earth come back together. And if you look behind the boy, they come for him. He's a light being, this little boy. That's his mother right there. And if you look behind him, they're going a little Led Zeppelin on you right here. And this is the stairway to heaven. And as you go through this, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to pause it. You look right there on the stairs. There are light beings, exactly what the Apocalypse of Peter said. They're coming down the stairs to greet him with these orbs right here. But these orbs are humanoid in form, just like what Jesus told you in the Apocalypse of Peter. These are your brethren. Okay, so that's why God told us, do not mix thy holy seed, because this light that we get are projections of our Father through us. We're his literal DNA offspring, beings of light. And the boy told you in the beginning, there's a world above ours. He said, and he literally said right above ours, and there's people there. So when this world comes up, or excuse me, comes down and connects with the earth and vibrational harmony, these light orb beings, they come and they take their young brethren and they take them up the stairway to heaven, or Jacob's ladder, and they go back to the heavens. And towards the end, this is what happens. Let's replay this. Says bye to his mother. And look behind him. You're going to see the beings of light right there. These are your brethren, like Jesus told you. They're all going to go on the stairway. And just like God took Atlantis up, this is exactly what happened. And they phased out of our third dimension right here. What say you, brother?
Oh my goodness, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm looking at the shapes and everything. I'm thinking about the firmament being in that shape, in a world above our world. We got the firmament, we've got these light beings, these orbs that come down, which I know I told you this about, how long has it been? Like 4 weeks ago now. I sat in a campsite in New Mexico on the backside of Emily's Ranch, and I watched 6 orbs for over 2.5 hours before I went back to sleep. 6 orbs doing all kinds of weird stuff. So I think they're letting us know we're not alone. There is another, like you say, above us. But notice that shape. We've got the firmament. We've got all the luminaries in the firmament, and then when that thing disappeared, it kind of took on that shape when it took off, didn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it did.
So that's what I'm getting out of this, and I'm a world apart from our world that was in the book of Peter there when he was shown that. You've got, and I don't want to go into this again because we've talked about this, but exactly as described by Admiral Byrd, beyond the ice wall in Antarctica, you've got this lush, beautiful places. That's what I'm saying. We don't have a clue, based on what we've learned in our schools and our churches or from our government, what exactly our situation is here.
Exactly. I would totally agree with you. And if you notice the orbs, like when you saw them, one of the formations that these orbs, and I know what they are, they're angels. They're not UAPs. They're not little alien grays or whatever, like the sci-fi world has brainwashed us to believe. But these are God's holy angels, and they literally are telling you that, like we said, the enemy has to tell you what you are, who you are, give you the history, but they hide it in plain sight with those with those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And they're telling you exactly what color is this little boy, little white boy. What color is his mommy, a white woman. Okay. These are the literal offspring of the Most High, of Jesus Christ. Now, when the boy talks about, I'm going to get a little weird here. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but these are some of the pictures I've shared in the past. I haven't really shared too much, but these are some of the pictures that I have in my collection, what God has shown me, and my Nikon P900 is picked up with, being led by the Spirit, and God showed this to me. But the meaning, I'm going to jump into the meaning. I know I'm bouncing a little bit, but the meaning of Israel, everyone, when they read the name of Israel, it's always from left to right, in English form. But when they had Paleo Hebrew or Hebrew writings, it was always right to left. So if you just scramble the words and you read it backwards, El equals God, Jesus Christ. Ra is another name for Adam. Ra equals son. They changed the letter from S-O to S-U. The son got S-U-N to confuse the low-level adepts and the slaves in Egypt. That's what they would do. They would tell them that the son is God, but they didn't understand that the son meant the S-O-N. So Ra equals Adam, Atum, Anum, Anu, and sons, and Is equals light. So God's sons of light. That's exactly what it means. And the Apocalypse of Peter tells you, and the Lord showed me a very great country outside of this world, exceedingly bright with light. These are the pictures I have on my camera. I have over 9,000 of these, and I don't really, flaunt these too much. I mean, you get ridicule, you hear everything. Oh, there's nebulas, they're this and that. But as you can plainly see, Carl, I mean, this I've seen this, and this original, it looks like an orb, a giant orb or a star. And if you filter the camera and the shutter speed, and with a lot of prayer, you can God will reveal it to you. And it's also double witnessed in the book of the Zohar. It tells you that they will reveal themselves to you if you have understanding. Now, if you look at this one right here, this is an angel. The original form it was in a cross. And I was taking picture after picture when this thing, you have an orb, and in the middle, it looks like a twinkling star, and they come down real low. And what these two did, this is an arm or a wing. This is another arm. They put these arms together, and this doorway opens up. And let me ask you, Carl, from viewing it from your end, can you make out the faces that are on these pictures, or are they too pixelated?
Well, can I say what I see here? I see a woman
in the middle,
looks like a child to the left looking up at her.
Okay.
Well,
if you can see right here, this is her eye. This is her eyebrow. This is her straight, beautiful European nose. Okay. This is her other eyebrow. This is her other eye. This is her face. This is her mouth. This is her hand on her face. And this is her arm robed in literal raiment, just like you saw before. This I caught over Madeira Beach in Florida, in the Clearwater area. And this, actually the St. Pete area. This is his eye. This is his other eye. This is his nose. This is his mouth, or his mustache right here. And let me move this out of the way here. If you look here, this is a crown, but a jewel in the middle. And he has a crown right here, right above his head. So I picked these up. I don't want to spend too much time on these. I'm gonna go over to the next slide. Anything you'd like to add, bro, before I go to the next slide?
Well, and what I started doing, I carry a high-powered monocular with me now. And that night when I was watching the orbs, I was looking at stars and the orbs, and I could see that twinkling high-frequency shapes, geometric shapes inside of these orbs as they're doing their flashing.
Let me ask you this, bro. When you saw them, were they flying in a formation?
I did see some formation, and then they started just like they knew I was watching. I was 57 miles due south of the Dulce underground base on the Jicarilla Apache Reservation, which is known for weird stuff. Supposedly that fake colonel guy that was supposedly did time there and went to all the levels and everything. So, and I'm just wondering if these were angels, God's angels up there protecting, because there was a lot of cattle mutilations going on north of me, where my location, a lot of strange stuff going on. So they showed up, but then they started doing stuff, Joey. They would come together and they would stop, and then one would shoot straight up, come back down, and they was doing spirals, and they would turn themselves on and off. And I counted
Exactly.
six individual orbs that at one time illuminated, that were going through all these motions and doing stuff. And some of the moves they were making defied anything that I know our aircraft can do. I mean, I spent a career in the Air Force, and nothing I've ever seen could do what these things were doing.
Did you see them in a triangle formation? Because in my experience, I have actual pictures in my backyard with these things, these orbs, and they love that triangle formation. They always fly in that formation. Did you witness that?
I did not see a triangle formation on this one, and I don't know if I told you. Now I was in camp, and a light come through the north part of the ranch, and there's an 8-foot elk fence up there, and it was like a train or a vehicle, just a motorcycle, one light coming towards me. And I set up, and I was a little bit puzzled. I thought, who in the heck could be coming on the ranch at this time of night driving? And I said, there's no way to get on here. And then it went out. That light disappeared. And then as I was looking off up to the north, that's when I started seeing those orbs doing their thing. I did not see them. I have seen triangle shaped ships before in the night sky, but I did not see these lights take on a triangle formation at all. They were just, it was almost like they were showing out. I mean, they were doing some swirly stuff together, and then they would stop, and they'd like run towards each other and stop. Boom.
Well, the Zohar, they were revealing themselves to you. The Zohar says that they reveal themselves, and I am not saying this in a arrogant way, so please don't take it that way, but it says that they will show themselves to you depending on the intellect of the person. And when you pray, it says, when the children of Israel pray, or the sons of light pray, God's sons of light pray, that these angels go up and they literally record everything you say, and they take it to the Most High. And that's in the Zohar. It literally says it word for word. But I think it's amazing that these things have, to me, from what you're telling me, that they were showing themselves to you because they know that you are aware of them. And do you remember the picture I sent you of the other door that opened up, and you saw
Yes,
a person standing out? Do you remember that picture?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't add that one, but anyways, I'm getting a little sidetracked with this. Let's go to the next slide, if that's all right with you, Carl.
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you read this for us? I'm going to end with this last picture here.
The Apocalypse of Peter. And the dwellers in that place were clad in the raiment of shining angels, and their raiment was like unto their country, and angels hovered about them. And the glory of the dwellers there was equal. In other words, there wasn't none of them outshine the other ones, did they?
Nope.
And with one voice they sang praises alternately to the Lord God, rejoicing in that place. The Lord saith to us, this is the place of your high priest, the righteous men.
Who are your brethren, just like Jesus said, these are your brethren. And this was the very first one that I ever saw. And this showed up 100 feet in my backyard as an orb. This happened to me in 2016. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I was led to I guess to know how to understand how to see them on the camera. And if you look at this, you look at this being, there's the whiteness that they're talking about in the face. There's the ear, there's the eye, there's the nose, there's the mouth, there's the crown on his head right here, and there's the blonde hair on their sides. There's the arms, and there's his feet pointing together with the white raiment. What do you make of this, Carl, this picture?
Well, obviously a being of light that has been able to be captured on camera.
So
this to me is what the Apocalypse of Peter is talking about.
And that's what they just literally showed you in the Hollywood movie. I think it was a Midnight Special, where the boy is a being of light, and then these other orbs. Remember what Adam said. He said, "My eyes have been changed. What is this flesh? I can't see the angels anymore." So to the human flesh eye, who that can only see in a certain light spectrums, when you look upon one of these things, it appears as an orb. And then you have this UFO, these, I would say these gatekeepers, they come out and they tell you, oh, it's a UAP, and they all this fancy names to make them official. But in reality, these are your brethren above you in the world, like the little boy in the movie just told you. There's a world on top of ours, and there's people, they live there. And how did they appear to them? In orbs. That's exactly so. So any final thoughts on this, Carl, before we move on?
No, sir.
All right. Let's go to the next one. All right. This is what Hollywood has to say about Adam and his fall, and another, hidden in plain sight and a hidden message. So I'm going to go ahead and play this one.
Father? If you can hear me, I failed. I failed you. I failed myself. And all humanity. I've traded my birthright for a life of submission in a world that's now ruled by your enemies. There's nobody left to help them now. People of the world. Not since I... Father!
Listen carefully, my son, for we shall never speak again. If you hear me now, then you have made use of the only means left to you, the crystal source through which our communication was begun. The circle is now complete. You have made a dreadful mistake, Kal-El. You did this of your own free will, in spite of all I could say to dissuade you. Now you have returned to me for one last chance to redeem yourself. This too. Finally, I have anticipated my son. Look at me, Kal-El. Once before, when you were small, I died while giving you a chance for life. And now, even though it will exhaust the final energy left within me...
Father, no.
Look at me, Kal-El. The Kryptonian prophecy will be at last fulfilled. The son becomes the father becomes the son. Farewell forever, Kal-El. Remember me, my son.
Carl, any thoughts on that?
Pretty heavy duty stuff there. And again, it mirrors the Bible story, doesn't it? If you know what to look for.
Bro, it's incredible. If you go to certain parts of it, like there's a part where he just tells him, he says the Kryptonian prophecy has come. He says the son becomes the father and the father becomes the son. What he means by that is basically the first covenant of God with Adam. So the son becomes the father. So he's a reflection of our father. He's, like you said earlier, spit image of our father. And God brought him to his holy, the elect one of our father, put him on the throne of glory. He became God of the earth and the heavens, Adam. That he wasn't just a farmer, like we've said 100 times. Now, upon his fall, where he told you, I failed you, Father. I failed you, I failed myself, and I failed the world, humanity. I failed and he was in human form. He wasn't Superman anymore. He'd lost his powers. So he lost his godhood. Now he's in the flesh. Now the Father becomes the Son, which is the Son of Man trick they put in there. All that means is that when God was reborn as Jesus Christ in the flesh, he came through the line of Adam. So our Father, Jesus Christ, became the son of Adam. So the son becomes the Father and the Father becomes the Son. And they literally put it right in your face and laugh at you because the 66 books, they don't explain it to you. And like I say, I'm not attacking anyone who loves, I love the 66 books as well. If we had a real version of it that I could actually, dig my teeth into, but we have an altered version. Now you also notice in the clip where he's Clark Kent, Superman, he's in this fortress of solitude in the Arctic region. It's an Atlantean, I guess, technology is the ice crystals, and then they have crystal technology where he brings forth the crystal hologram of his father. But it has intelligence. He's speaking, saying, "Look at me, Kal-El, look at me," or "Look at me, Adam, look at me. You've come to redeem yourself." But when he comes back and he redeems his light, what's Jor-El, his father, or Jesus Christ? What is he wearing, Carl? He's wearing, if you go right here,
white raiment.
Literally wearing, hold on a second, right there. Oh, I just killed it again. Hold on. He's wearing white raiment, just like what Jesus told in the Apocalypse of Peter. They were all wearing white raiments. He said, "These are your brethren." So Hollywood, or the people who give them the inspiration for these movies and these little cryptic scenes here, they understand these books better than you or I or anyone. They've had them for thousands of years, and Jesus told you they've hidden the keys of wisdom and knowledge from you. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
No, that pretty much, like you said, covered it. The keys of knowledge hidden.
Well,
but they're throwing this in our face as entertainment, and we don't recognize for what it is.
I'm going to try to shorten this up a little bit, buddy. I'm going to just read this bottom part, but I'll go ahead and I'll take the whole thing. It says, this is mine elect one, Adam, mine elect one, in the fall of Satan from the cave of treasure. It says, when Satan saw Adam seated on a great throne with a crown of glory on his head and a scepter in his hand, and all the angels worshiping him, just like the Zohar said, he was filled with anger. And when God said to him, "Come, thou also, for thou shalt worship my image and likeness," Satan refused to do so. And assuming an arrogant and insolent manner, he said, "It is meet that he should worship me, for I existed before he came into being." When the Father saw his overbearing attitude, he knew Satan's wickedness and rebellion had reached their highest pitch. He ordered the celestial soldiers to take from him the written authority that was in his hand, to strip off his armor and to hurl him down from heaven to earth. Satan was the greatest of the angels, and God had made him the commander-in-chief of the celestial host. And in the document which Satan held in his hands were written the names of all the angels under his command, the Gregory. Knowing their names, his authority over them was absolute. When God saw that the angels hesitated to take the document from him, he commanded them to bring a sharp reaping knife and to stab him on this side and that, right through his body to the backbone and his shoulder blades. And Satan could no longer stand upright. And a cherub smote him and broke his wings and his ribs. And having rendered him helpless, he cast Satan down from heaven upon earth. Then he became the archdevil and the leader of those who were cast out of heaven with him, who henceforth were devils. The Egyptians and Ethiopian churches treat the story of the fall of Satan in great detail. According to them, Satan, or Santnael, was greatly astonished at the beauty and splendor of the sun and the moon, and on the fourth day of the week, he declared to himself that he would set his throne above the stars and make himself equal to God. 1 week after the creation of Adam, Satan declared war on the host of the Almighty God that were commanded by Michael and consisting of 120,000 horsemen, 600,000 shield bearers, 700,000 mail-clad horsemen and chariots of fire, 700,000 torch bearers, 800,000 angels with daggers of fire, 1,000,000 slingers, 500 bearers of axes and fire, 300,000 bearers of fiery crosses, and 400,000 bearers of lamps. The angels uttered their battle cries and began to fight, but Satan charged them and dispersed them. They reformed, but again, Satan charged them and put them to flight. Then God gave the angels the cross of light, which bore the legend, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And when they attacked the host of darkness under this cross, Satan became faint, and he and his forces withdrew, and Michael hurled them down into hell. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
Well, that's certainly not your Sunday school account of what went on, is it?
No, sir, it's not.
Wow.
Well, if you go to African legend on this, it literally tells you Satan's fall, according to African legend, says they wandered unhindered in places where no man has been before. They could not be seen face to face, for their eyes were as bright as the sun. These creatures were forbidden to enter the divine empire and were exiled to earth. So this fire they're talking about, remember, Satan said, I am made of fire. He is made of dust. So these are beings of fire. So any thoughts on that, brother? Carl, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do have a thought. Now, it says they wandered unhindered where no man has been before, forbidden to enter the divine empire, exiled to earth. But later we read in the book of Job where Satan, actually, when the sons of God went into God and to the council, he went in among them. So apparently he was given a pass later on to be able to come and go and actually go meet up with the sons of God in the heavenly throne area.
Are you talking about when it said when God built the earth and all the sons of God sang?
Well, when God asked Satan, he said, "Where have you been?" And he said, "I've been walking to and fro on the earth." And he said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" And that's when Satan said, "Oh, yeah, but if you weren't protecting him, I could, he would turn and curse you and all that stuff." So Satan was after this apparently was allowed to actually re-enter. Now, I'm not sure the guys that followed him weren't, but he was allowed to re-enter for at least short periods of time and discuss things face to face with God.
And then, you could be right. There's no doubt about it. Let's move on to the next slide here. I'm going to give you one more example. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, that's what just popped up. I think that's going to cover the example real well.
Exactly. Santnael becomes Satan, and Hollywood hides it in plain sight. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. Hold on a second. No, I'm sorry, bro. A little technical difficulty there. Start it again. If you notice, this This is Anakin Skywalker. He's white, and he was defeated. And if you look at where he's at, this is literal hell, Sheol, with lakes of fire, everything all around him. And he's been defeated and hurled down to the earth, just like the text that we read. And Hollywood puts it in plain sight. There he is, defeated.
He's still alive. Get a medical capsule immediately. Yes, sir. Right away.
See the lake of fire there? That they put it right in your face, Carl.
Uh-huh.
So he's no longer Santnael, the angel. The L has been stripped from him, and now he's being placed in a black body. And Satan arises.
Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yes, Master.
So if you read this, I'll go ahead and take this, Carl. It says, the fall of Satan. It says, 1 second. Fall of Satan. God puts Satan in a black flesh suit, aka Darth Vader. Then when God, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said unto him, O Adam, so long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and his host. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark, black. And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew not of darkness, but he transgressed, and I made him fall from heaven upon the earth, and it was this darkness that came upon him. And Hollywood puts this as a sci-fi fantasy, but their inspiration for these type movies are the ancient texts that Carl and I are revealing to you. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
No, that you covered it rather well as well, just with the fact that the black flesh suit, and then we've got later on, we've got the mark of Cain, which we know what that is. So how do we know visually who we're supposed to be at war with, other than, like I like to say, that the color of your uniform pretty much draws the lines of which side you should be on.
Well, if you read the fall, according to the ancient text, like the Cave of Treasures and the Ethiopic writings, it tells you that when he was hurled to the earth, one says the earth and one says the lake of fire or hell. And here in the Star Wars movie, when he's defeated, he had his lightsaber and he got his ass handed to him, and he's all chopped up, and here he is in the lake of fire. And now, if you notice, the guy, Lord Sidious, now he's supposed to be the God character, but supposedly our Father, according to the text, put him in the black body. But the enemy perverts everything and twists everything, and their view of our Father is what you see in the Star Wars movie, Darth Sidious. he's all, mangled up and he's ugly as hell. And that's the way they see, because they're perverted and backwards, and they twist everything. Would you agree?
Yes.
So, all right, moving on to the next one. You want to take this car, or you want me to do it?
I'll take it, brother. Let me move this box out of the way. Adam sees the devil in his true colors. Then God orders Satan to show himself to Adam in plainly, in his own hideous form. But when Adam saw him, he feared and trembled at the sight of him. And God said to Adam, look at this devil and at his hideous look, and know that he is who made thee fall from brightness into darkness, from peace and rest to toil and misery. And look, O Adam, at him who said of himself that he is God. Can God be black? That's God, our God, asking Adam that question. Would God take the form of a woman? Is there anyone stronger than God? And can he be overpowered?
May I interject real fast? Now, we've read this in the past, and basically when he says, would take the form of a woman, this was from the earlier verse, chapter 3 in the books of Adam and Eve, when Satan came to Adam and shapeshifted into a woman and said, if you marry me, I'll give you 5 kids. So this is the next chapter. So if you'd like to continue, bro.
All right. And see then, O Adam, and behold him bound in thy presence in the air, unable to flee away. Therefore I say unto thee, be not afraid of him. Henceforth take care and beware of him in whatever he may do to thee. Then God drove Satan away from before Adam, whom he strengthened and whose heart he comforted, saying unto him, go down to the cave of treasures and separate not thyself from Eve. I will quell in you all animal lust. From that hour it left Adam and Eve. They enjoyed rest by the commandment of God, but God did not the like to any one of Adam's seed, but only to Adam and Eve. Okay. Then Adam worshiped before the Lord for having delivered him and for having laid his passions. And he came down from above the cave and dwelt with Eve as before time. This ended the 40 days of his separation from Eve.
What are your thoughts on that verse there, bro?
Well, let's see.
Where God
from that hour it left Adam and Eve, and they enjoyed rest by the commandment of God. But God did not the like to any of Adam's seed, but only to Adam and Eve. So that particular thing was something that only happened with Adam and Eve. It did not get passed down to us.
Well, that was lust. That was the lust of the flesh that I guess Adam put over when he became that woman, and God quailed that in him. But remember, we read earlier, the eastern border and the western border, he said, some of your seed are going to come out of you, and I'm going to send a flood upon them. And so in other words, he didn't quail that lust for the flesh as a test to see if they would abide by their birthright and not mix with these Canaanites. So he took it away from Adam and Eve, but when their seed was born, he didn't quail that same desire, that sexual desire in them. So that's what he's alluding to here.
Okay.
So let's go to the next slide.
So our guys are still mixing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the sons of God. So we're going to talk more about Satan's fall in the Gregory. And I'm going to go ahead and play this little clip right here. Be patient with me. All right.
Sierra Leone, Africa. The early 1990s. As civil war rages across the country, rebels begin forcing villagers to mine so-called blood diamonds. But from deep within the earth emerges a vast treasure they weren't expecting. They discover mysterious figures ranging from 5 to 10 inches tall, often with reptilian or amphibian features, known as nomoli.
They're very strange statues. Some are clay, some are of granite or limestone. They are humans and human figures with lizard heads. There are hundreds of them.
According to legend, the Nomoli represent sky gods. When they fell from the heaven, part of the sky turned to stone and rained down with them. Curiously, strange blue stones can be found buried with many of the Nomoli figurines.
These strange blue stones, called sky stones, have been found with the statues. And at first, archaeologists thought, okay, it's just blue stones. But when they analyzed it, they couldn't figure out how these had been made too. Although the people in Sierra Leone felt that they were actually pieces of the blue sky that fell with the Nomoli.
If these mysterious blue stones are really connected to the legend of the sky turning to stone and raining down on the earth with the arrival of the Nomoli.
So, Carl, what is your thought on that? Now, I know this is your
Yeah.
field of expertise, and you've
I'm
studied
looking at
that.
this is a secular version of Satan and his angels being cast down to the earth.
Well, I know you have a lot of experience with these blue sky stones. Would
Well,
you care to expound on your
some experience with them? They're not known. They're not. There's nothing like them anywhere on the earth. The molecular structure of them are not like any other stone on the planet. So really, truly, they won't. I say scientists don't know the origin. I say they do. They're just not saying. But I believe when they were cast down to this earth that we are under, and I call it pheasant under glass. We're under a firmament on a plane. You know, I'm not. I hate to delve into that again, but you know, we're on a planet, not a globe. So we're on a plane that's under a glass cover or a firmament. And when these things broke through as they were cast down, pieces of that came down, and it's still here today. And we've discussed this before. That who was it? Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan, one of those two were credited in Central and South America with having repaired the sky once it was destroyed.
That's right. Well, I can't argue with you there. And like we said, Hollywood literally tells you, and they confirm what the texts say. They say that there's a world on top of this one. Now, as we spoke in the past, whether, you know, like I've told you before, I don't, to me, the whole flat earth thing, like I'm not going to get in that whole rabbit trail again, but to me,
no.
It's I'm just going to explain myself. I mean, I don't like to be stuck in duopolies, you know, like, you know, Ford, Chevy, Coke, Pepsi, whatever. I believe like you said, it's a lot more complicated than that. So, you know, I'll leave it with that, but I'd like to go to some of these slides. And if you look at these slides, these are the literal Nomoli figurines that they found in Sierra Leone with the sky stones. And if you know, I'm not 100% sure about this one. Now this, you know, but I know these right here, if you look, these all have melanated features with them. This is not an attack on melanated people. If you're a researcher and you seek the truth, you have to go where the evidence takes you. So like I said before in the past, emotion has nothing to do with it. There's no love, there's no hate, there's only a thirst and a lust for the truth. And that's what Carl and I do. We don't hate anybody. This isn't about hate or love. So we're simply going with the evidence and the facts that we can come up with and presenting it to the viewer. So let's go to the next one. So here you have this is another Nomoli figurine right here. And now I don't know which actual tribe this is, but they literally scar themselves, whether that's with a sharp knife or something, to emulate these Grigori beings that was passed down through tradition and oral history, and they're trying to emulate this. Carl, would you concur with that?
Oh, definitely. They're duplicating something they've seen or found in their environment, which is obvious when you look at these figurines what they're trying to duplicate.
Well, and it tells you right here, you know, this says Indra. Now this is off the website. This is their interpretation. Indra, Jupiter. This is another Indra. But if you look, they definitely have melanated features on them. And that's not, like I said, again, it's not a knock on anyone. I could care less about that. I mean, like I said, I go where the evidence takes me. And I find it interesting that they tell you in their own, and their own tribal chiefs literally tell you the story of these beings being cast out from the heavens and unable to go back into the heavenly empires, as how they called it. Now here we have more. I don't know which tribes they're from. Let me see. Central African tribes. They do bloodletting rituals, rites, passage into adulthood, males and females, and they disfigure their bodies somehow. I don't know how they do this. Here's more of these serpent skin markings that they've inflicted on their own people, but they're trying to emulate something, and it was passed down from generation to generation, from father to son. Now these figurines were found in Ghana. Any thoughts on that, Carl?
No, I've noticed in following you had figurines from Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria.
Chad.
So it seems to be across the sub-Saharan cultures that they have these figurines and these beliefs.
Well, that's supposedly where they were cast down. That's according, even ancient aliens said. Now they don't come out and say it, obviously, but that's that's where these figurines were found. So let's go to the next slide here. This is, we don't have to read this again, but this is just some more hidden text about Jesus the shapeshifter, and we'd read this in previous shows, so we can go on to the very next slide. Carl, this is a Jesus in the Mount of Transfiguration, showing his ability to be able to shapeshift and take on a flesh body and ascend to a higher being. Would you like to read this?
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 17 from the King James. And after 6 days, Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias, talking with them. That same story we talked about a while ago. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him.
So the Son becomes the Father, and the Father becomes the Son. So when he's saying, this is my beloved Son, he's basically speaking that this is God in flesh. Remember, anytime Adam fell, it said, and God sent his word, and his word was just a flesh vehicle to come down into this third dimension and to be able to interact with Adam and to raise him up. And this is telling you, just like they told you in the Superman movie, the Kryptonian prophecy, the Son becomes the Father. He became a God, he fell, and then God came back through that same line. And yes, that went down to the line of Judah, Pharez Judah, but all that means is sons of light. That's what Israel means. And he came back through that line. So the Father became the son of his son Adam. And that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but that's basically the gist of it. So let's go to the next slide. And this kind of ends it right here. And then we got a little side note at the end. Carl, if you'd like to start right here, I mean, you can start from here if you want, where it says instantly as a light. This is speaking of the United States of America, and this basically just connects with the sons of light. If you'd like to hit that, Carl.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I would. Instantly, a light as of 1,000 suns shone down from above me, and pierced and broke into fragments the dark cloud which enveloped America. Okay, we just lost.
Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
That's all right, buddy. At the same moment, the angel upon whose head still shone the word Union, and who bore our national flag in one hand and a sword in the other, descended from the heavens, attended by legions of, there's that word again, white spirits.
One more time.
Yes, sir. These immediately joined the inhabitants of America, who I perceived were well nigh overcome, and who immediately taking courage again, closed up their broken ranks and renewed the battle. Again, amid the fearful noise of the conflict, I heard the mysterious voice saying, Son of the Republic, look and learn. As the voice ceased, the shadowy angel for the last time dipped water from the ocean and sprinkled it upon America. Instantly, the dark cloud rolled back together with the armies it had brought, leaving the inhabitants of the land victorious. Then once more I beheld the villages, towns, and cities springing up where I'd seen them before, while the bright angel, planting the azure standard he had brought in the midst of them, cried with a loud voice, while the stars remain and the heavens send down dew upon the earth, so long shall the union last. And taking from his brow the crown in which blazoned the word union, he placed it upon the standard, while the people kneeling down said, Amen. The scene instantly began to fade and dissolve, and I at last saw nothing but the rising, curling vapor I first beheld. This also disappearing, I found myself once more gazing upon the mysterious visitor, who in the same voice I'd heard before said, Son of the Republic, what you have seen is thus interpreted. 3 great perils shall come upon the Republic. The most fearful is the third. But in this greatest conflict, the whole world united shall not prevail against her. Let every child of the Republic learn to live for his God, his land, and the Union. With these words, the vision vanished, and I started from my seat and felt that I had seen a vision wherein had been shown to me the birth, progress, and destiny of the United States.
Well, let me chime in. I'm going to read that first paragraph. It says, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want the listener to know who we know the shadowy angel is Satan, and I want the viewer to understand what's happening when they see our country with wide open borders. What's happening? Washington literally told you this was going to happen. This is confirmed in Revelation. This is also confirmed in the War Scroll, another part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I'm going to start. And again, I heard the mysterious voice saying, "Son of the Republic, look and learn." At the dark shadowy angel, that's Satan, dark, the black shadowy angel, placed a trumpet to his mouth and blew 3 distinct blasts. And taking water, that's peoples, from the ocean, he sprinkled it on Europe, Asia, and Africa. Then my eyes beheld a fearful scene. From each of these countries arose a thick black cloud that were soon joined into one. Throughout this mass, there gleamed a dark red light. A dark red, by which I saw hordes of armed men. Let me pause. So the waters he's speaking about are from these nations, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Okay, he's talking about melanated people, the children of the dark, shadowy angel, being quarterbacked by the dark red light, which is, the Bible told you, the red dragon, who the people in Asia or China, the Communist Chinese Party, this is the red light who's quarterbacking the entire scenario. So the invasion of America is going to happen in waves, in my opinion. I can't prove this, but according to what Washington said, this is my opinion. He says that first there's going to be, to me, like a soft invasion under the guise of humanitarian reasons. Oh, there's no work, there's no food, poverty, we're trying to get away from communism. So please help us. So they come. Then the real invasion happens when we're at our weakest. This red light, this Chinese red dragon army. And he said, I saw hordes of armed men. Red light signifies the Chinese, who moving with the cloud marched by land and sailed by sea to America. The only navy that could do that is the Chinese Navy. They're larger than the United States now. Our country was enveloped in this volume of cloud, and I saw the vast armies devastate the whole country and burn villages and towns and cities that I beheld springing up. And my ears listened to the thundering of the cannons, clashing of swords, and the shouts and cries of millions in mortal combat. I heard again the mysterious voice saying, Son of the Republic, look and learn. When the voice had ceased, the dark, shadowy angel placed the trumpet once more to his mouth and blew a long and fearful blast. So, Carl, any thoughts on that?
Well, I just took a road trip a couple of weeks ago, and I walked across our border with Mexico, and on the other side of that border, the first time I went across were thousands and thousands of these folks waiting to flock into our country. All of them were, well, I say 99% of them were male of
Fighting
what I
age.
call military age. And I talked to them. I speak Spanish. I talked to them, and they were waiting. They're being bussed across our borders. They're waiting down there on the Mexican side, and they're being bussed across and given clothes, food, place to stay, and relocated all over this country. And I waded through that. And then the second time I went, same thing. They're there. But when I crossed back across the border, the whole lower, I'd say 6 blocks of towards the border were covered with these son of a guns, dude. And the law enforcement, I mean, they're just laying all over the place, crapping, eating food, crapping all over the place, and just lounging and looking. I mean, they're obviously predators. They're just a bunch of young troublemaking men, and you've got Haitians, you've got Dominican. I mean, you've got these people who even the Mexicans were apologizing to me because these son of a guns were stacked up on their border and rolling across the border.
Well, and Washington, I've had arguments with family members of this. They think no, that's not true. That's your opinion, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, to me, Washington, if you understand, the symbolic meaning of what he's telling you, like you said earlier, the waters mean peoples. And he's telling you that the devil who we haven't described, we just brought forth the ancient text that describes him. And it tells you that he's the one that is running the whole operation, but he's talking about two different waves or two different levels of an invasion. And we're literally seeing that right now. And so it tells you in Psalms 83 exactly that, like, let's destroy their country and wipe out, and so that the name of Israel or the name of the sons of light will be no more. So they said, let's break. King James says, let's break their yoke. That means their strings. Let's cast their cords away from us in Psalms 2. But it's Washington is verifying this, in my opinion, and I think we're living right through it. What say you, bro?
Oh, it's happening. The invasion is on, and again, when you talk about the destruction of Israel, our Christian brothers and sisters, the Judeo-Christians, well, they're not our brothers and sisters other than DNA, because they're not following the same God we are. That's a fact. We're unequally yoked with them. Regathered us here under this flag in this country, and now this is it. This is the final hoorah. We're being surrounded and attacked. And it's just a matter of time before it's impossible. We'll be weakened big time by all of these people rolling across the border. They're bringing nothing to your table but appetite. They're here to take.
For a plunder and a spoil, the locust.
Yes, sir. Once you're weakened to that point, then here comes the Chinese. The Chinese right now wouldn't dare come after us.
Well,
but they're trying to take away your ability to defend yourself.
That's right.
And first of all, against the melanated hordes that are coming against you. And then once that's done, then here comes the Chinese in with that organized military army to attack you. They think they got a shoe in. Apparently, they're pretty confident that they're going to be able to take us, according to the vision of and why would George Washington have a vision? I mean, everybody in the Bible's had visions. George Washington established the first president of this great nation, which was the regathering of Israel. Because this is not in your King James version between the front and back page. People don't take this serious, but this is just as serious and valid of any vision that any prophet had in our Bible, I think. I believe that.
In my opinion, it should have been in the Bible.
Yes, sir. Yes,
because,
sir.
How can you say that this is the regathering of Israel, but the father of this nation is just that's another one that kind of confuses me.
We've had that discussion.
So I hope the viewers got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to end on a side note, some research that Carl brought to my attention. And Carl, I'm going to switch over to it. And I'm going to let you take this one and run with it, bro.
All right, talk to me, because we talked about so much stuff.
So here, in ending, here is this is the George Washington's vision here. There's the angel with the sword in his hand, the one that he saw with the flag, the shield. Now here's Here's the Statue of Freedom on top of our Capitol building. Some people say it's the devil, it's Satan. No, it's not. This is the sword, shield, flag. This is a flag on this shield right here. And on top of the Statue of Freedom is the eagle. The eagle is symbolic of Jesus Christ. The outstretched wings of the eagle would give the woman rest and for a season and a time. That's in the book of Revelations. That's what they're talking about. That's what this statue on top of the Capitol building symbolizes. So we're going to go to this next. Oh my God, I just totally killed it. Hold on, bro.
Okay.
So I'm going to let Carl take this. This is on some false teachings and false theology. And we'd like to put our 2 cents into this. Go ahead, Carl, take this, run with it, bro.
We have listened to several people in the past talk about angel fall, angels with parole opportunity, and what did we coin the phrase the other day discussing this? Not angel fall, but angel fraud, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And we, if I may interrupt, we just want to give a background of where this theology came from.
This is, yes. We've got a new and that word I can't even pronounce it.
I don't know, you got me, bro. That's a good one.
A New Bible is a book published in 1882 purporting to contain new revelations. Remember, if any angel or anybody comes to you with any other revelation other than Jesus Christ has already been written, remember, that's a commandment from the New Testament. Scratch it off. Well, but here we go. We've got a new revelation from the ambassadors of the angel hosts of heaven, prepared and revealed unto man in the name of Jehovah. It was produced by an American dentist, John Ballou Newbrow, born, it looks like 1828, lived to 1891, who reported it to have been written by automatic writing, making it one of a number of 19th century spiritualist works attributed to this practice. The text defines adherence of the disciples, of the disciplines expounded in the office. Oh my goodness.
You said it, bro. That was it.
Okay, as faithists. And see, with these new teeth, I'm tripping over my tongue here. And the voice of Jehovah came to me saying, Sethantes. Now this is as made up. I'm sorry, I want to say something right here. This is as made up and hokey as the angel Moroni speaking to the Mormon church. I mean, these guys getting all these new revelations, all these convoluted and high sounding names like Jehovah and Sethantes, which that's a Seth with a bunch of other letters at the end of it. My son, behold, I gave into thy charge my Ethereal heavens, millions of angels, and thou hast brought them to the earth, and they are fallen from their high estate. Go thou, deliver them. And I said, what shall I do? And Jehovah said, bring thy angel host to Horeb, for there I will crown thee God of these heavens and earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. Now, John Ballou Newbrow was born on June 5th, 1828, near Mohicanville, Ohio, in a log cabin. His father, William Newbrow, was an Englishman who had attended the College of William and Mary. His mother, Elizabeth Polsky, was Swiss and attracted to spiritualism.
Hold on a second. I had a little glitch there. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, bro.
Their son was named for the Universalist clergyman Jose Ballou. And we're going to just, the Polsky is what? That's an Ashkenaz, Ukrainian, or Belarusian ethnic or
habitational
name. It's cut off down at the bottom for some reason.
No, I'm horrible with this thing. Sorry, brother.
That's okay. I'm trying to click on it and get it to open up, but the last two lines there, ethnic or from that point down is kind of.
It says name from Russian. It's blocked on my end too. It said name from Russian, Pulaski, or another East Slavic adjective meaning Polish. So if we dig into this, I want to give my 2 cents right off the bat. If we dig into this false teaching here, okay, like you said, this Jesus Christ never said in any text written, whether it's the Bible, the Apocrypha, the hidden text, the Nag Hammadi text, anything that I could get my hands on, Jesus never said, I'm sending you Adam. And notice they don't even mention Adam here. They go straight to this name, Sathanas, my son. Behold, I give you charge of my ethereal heavens and millions of angels. So this was channeled supposedly to this guy, in my opinion, by these devils and these fallen angels. Aleister Crowley. There you go. Thank you, brother. And if you notice, it literally says that the only reason they named him or as God as the heavens or in the earth was to bring them back to, in other words, to deliver them. And it says, in the redemption of angels and mortals. So to me, this is coming right out of the mouth of these fallen angels. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. You know, you can't sit there on your show and say, you know, the Jehovah names and the Yah names and this and this. But the one that channeled this was this Jehovah right here through to me, his mother, who was a total, I mean, she's like on Blavatsky's level, this Elizabeth Polsky. And she was a huge fan of this clergyman, Hosea Ballou, where if we actually delve into this guy was a total universalist on, and I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I mean, I don't agree with them. According to the text, it says total opposite of what they're saying. Now, I could be wrong. And I say that with humility because I'm not God. I'm just, like I said before, you and I are lifetime students. But from my understanding of this, you know, the Heavenly Father is not going to send his angel to Miss Polsky here and reveal something to her that, you know, you're here for the angel and the redemption of the angels. This guy was a dentist and some kind of occultist that was tapping into these fallen angels. Remember, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth says, if you seek darkness, you will find it. It will come to you.
It's coming.
If you know how to say the rights, and when you get into these clergymen back in that time, there was a huge wave of this universalism and this devil worship, you know, with Blavatsky and all these other Blavant, Bailey, and the guy you just mentioned. They literally were into this. This was their religion. Enough of that, Rand. Anything from you, Carl? What's your opinion on this?
No, that pretty much cut to me. Like I said, this is so hokey that you're receiving another revelation that's not been given by Jesus Christ himself, and it's other than the gospel of the kingdom. Scratch it off. It's just as hokey to me as the little tablets and the stones that Joseph Smith got handed to him by the angel Moroni, I think it was. I used to study that pretty good, but there's too much false stuff going around, and we're being led into some other stuff too. Some of these shows are talking about these super soldier programs. These guys are sitting around a panel. You got guys and gals that this Rink guy was one of them, where they're sitting around in a panel talking about being off planet for 40 years, fighting giant spiders and on Mars and all this crap. But Joey, let's say they were intergalactic super firefighters, and they were trying to tell this story. You guys have got a language that you speak, just like military. I don't care if you're a Roman legionnaire, if you're a French foreign legionnaire, or what you're. A soldier has a certain language they speak. I'm listening to these fake super soldiers that are claiming they've existed for 200 years. They look younger. I've got socks older than them, son of a gun. And talking about how they've been off planet fighting and doing all this shit. But none of them speak the language of a soldier. There's a certain language that goes with everything on this planet. Just like if somebody was BSing you about firefighting, you would know they would never fought a fire because they don't speak that language.
Yeah.
Just like these guys have not, and they're sitting there, they're being, it's just been revealed to me, my memory's coming back that I was on this planet, and no, you're bull. I'm sorry, I'm gonna watch my language go wrong.
No, you're fine, bro. But I mean, if you listen to them, some of the things that they say in the secret space program, and I don't, like I said, I don't care two ways about it. I don't really put my time into that.
No,
But
I
I've
don't, I
listened,
can't watch
I've
it.
listened to some of it, and basically all they're doing is regurgitating the ancient texts like Enoch and some of these other books with a scientific overlay on top, like just like they do in Hollywood. And to me, it's to bring you this, and it's a deception, and it's to bring you into a false religion, like where this says, let's go back into this. It says, go thou deliver them. And what shall what shall I do? And Jehovah said, bring thy angel host to Horeb, for there I will crown thee God of these heavens and earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. Okay, now that was made a theology a long time ago. Now, we really had to dig to find this, because I never believed in that. When I heard that, and then it made me want to vomit. I just knew in my DNA it just didn't resonate. It was wrong. And when you hear this sounds. Remember, the devil, Satan, and his angels. How many times did they come to Adam over and over and over and change forms and try to trick him over and over and over again? And what did Satan say? And his plan, he said, I'll kill Adam, and then God will want me. That was in his sycophant freak mind. He really thought that if he killed God's son, then God would be in want of him. So to me, this is pushing fallen. This is a fallen angel demonic theology. And anyone that pushes this, it to me is on the wrong side of right and wrong and good and evil. Is on the side of evil. I mean, this to me, point blank, is an evil fallen angel theology. What would you say, Carl?
And one of the texts we read a while ago talking about how Adam had the imprint of his father on his face, and then these angels referred to him as the creator. So there's a difference between created beings and begotten beings. Created beings don't have that. There's no opportunity for them. They made a decision, and they're screwed. Whatever their decision is that they made, there is no redemption for them. And that's according to the book of Enoch. And this right here is obviously, like I said, they've tried to create something out of whole cloth that's not true.
Well, bro, think about it. We literally, hidden in plain sight right in front of us, we just read it. We just read it. We read it in the book of Adam and Eve. He said, God offered redemption to Adam, but not to me.
Boom.
He said it right there.
So there you go.
So I'm sorry, because I'll forget the thought. If this book were correct, then that means all the other texts that were written way before 1882 goes back all the way to the Ethiopian church. I mean, thousands of years to where Jesus walked the earth. That means those books would be incorrect, and that this guy, Mr. Polsky from his mother's side, that means he would be right, and all the other writings would be wrong. And it literally said, I mean, I don't want to go back, but the viewers can rewind that, and you can look at it. It said that God offered covenant to Adam, but not to me. So I will kill Adam and in the future his offspring. So in other words, when he comes back, there'll be no Adamic flesh. Like Jesus said, if I didn't return, there'd be no Adamic flesh left.
Yes.
So we're targeted for extinction, us. And from what this guy, this Newborough guy is saying, that we're here for the redemption of angels. This was picked up by that guy Klein, and then other plagiarists picked this up and they put it like this is, this is the 10 Commandments. And I say these are demonic in their very existence, and anyone who follows this is being deceived. My opinion.
I have to agree with you on that.
So, anyways, any last thoughts, Carl, before we call it? We're both worn out. So
I think it's time to call it, my friend.
Well, Carl, I really appreciate you doing these shows with me. It's a pleasure, man. I always love talking with you, and I thank the guests and the audience for actually supporting us. Thank you so much for watching our show. God bless, and may Jesus' hand of protection be on all of you. Any last words, Carl?
Amen. And the protective blood of Jesus on each and every one of you, and just I pray that and plead that, and you do that the same for your families. You fathers out there, heads of households, that's your job to place your household under the blood of Jesus and that protection.
Amen to that, bro. Well, thank you again, everyone. God bless and good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.